Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat. So, we in the last session touched upon asanas. So, as I told you, it starts in the Yoga Sutras, which is the standard textbook, also in the Yoga Pradipikas, starting with Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, 8 angas. Now of this we've kind of discussed Yama Niyamas and then gone on to asanas. I wouldn't say we have done a detailed study of the asanas. We have done what is essential, simple asanas and so on. So the next step is Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama. Now when you say Pranayama, first let's look at the word carefully. Prana, life energy, the energy that goes in our system, which includes oxygen, which is also energy, and various other energies, digestive energy, what is called the digestive fire. Pachamyannam chaturvidam, the 4 kinds of fires of which one is used for digesting the food, that is also prana. It's also the prana, the vayu that helps us excrete. So there are many pranas in the system, of which basically they have divided into prana, apana, udana, samana, 4 of the pranas. So when you say pranayama, yama means rules, yama are rules. So pranayama means rules and regulations regarding prana, need not necessarily mean shwasa. Please remember this carefully. It's not shwasayama, it's pranayama. Now unfortunately we cannot directly touch the prana. I would say fortunately, otherwise we'll be tinkering with it all the time. We can only connect prana through shwasa. So shwasa is our breath, and breath is intimately linked to the prana. So if you control and manipulate and adjust slow or make it fast, then you can adjust your prana accordingly. Now for that you should know what prana is required for what purpose and so on. Now that's a large big study, but let's go to the simple. When normally people say pranayama, it is shwasa, how to manipulate the breath. That's what it means. So let's go to the simple pranayama. What does it do basically? From the point of view of the physical body, basic pranayama helps us to supply more oxygen into the lungs. So first we have to see the actual yogic way of breathing. People don't know how to breathe. Actually, we broadcast, I had talked about proper breathing. In yogic breathing, it's called pot breathing. Kumbha actually means a pot, kumbha. So, what we normally do when you breathe is like this. Hardly surface breathing, hardly any breathing. Real yogic breathing is like deep breath. It need not necessarily be ujjayi. Ujjayi means to take deep down from the throat like. But even that, you don't have to do that. Even if you do proper normal breathing, yogic breathing is different from surface breathing. It's kumbhak breathing. What do? Take a deep breath. I'm not using ujjayi, okay, watch carefully. Now your lungs is full, push it toward the tongue, pull it in. See? Now you don't have to do it step by step, it should be one whole process. And please don't think because you are pushing the air into your tummies are going to become big, please. I know everybody wants an hourglass figure and so on. Don't ever have an hourglass figure. It will have a terrible effect on your kidneys because they'll all get compressed, liver and kidneys. Now, normal is better. Even then, it does not have any effect on your, in fact, it strengthens the muscles of your stomach so that you maintain the steadiness of the muscles of the abdomen. So, okay, so that is simple breathing. Now to start with simple pranayam, you just need to do this for 5 minutes, which is take a deep breath, hold, for the time being don't even count, just hold. Exhale. Now what happens? Your lungs is properly irrigated. Now when you start pranayam first time, few times, you might feel a little dizzy because you're not accustomed to breathing out fully. When the entire air is a little bit of carbon dioxide will make you feel a little dizzy. Doesn't matter, after some time you will be fine. So this is the simple pranayam. Breathing with both the nostrils, breathing in and breathing out. Okay. Now, according to the anatomy physiology of yoga, which is also linked in some way to normal anatomy physiology, we have many channels. 108 is a metaphor, but there are many channels in the system, in the body, through which the breath or the prana operates. Not the breath. Breath operates only in the lungs, remember. The prana operates. Now, of these, 3 are most important. Ida, Pingala and Sushumna. The Trishul. Ida, Pingala and the Sushumna. Now, for spiritual purposes, it is very important to have the Sushumna Nadi working. For all other health purposes, it's enough if your Ida and Pingala are properly balanced, if your Prana Apana is balanced, and so on. So now, how do we balance the Ida Pingala? So as I said, the Prana is so intimately connected to the Shwasa, to the breath. So when you manipulate the left nostril, then automatically the Ida is working in full capacity. When you breathe through the right nostril, the Pingala is working in full capacity. Now you have to alternate between the two to bring about a natural breath. Okay. Having said that, let me go back a little to the other breathing simply with both nostrils. So, even though I said you don't have to count, it will be nice if you can adjust the system in such a way that you breathe in, say, for the count of 10, hold for 20 and exhale for 15. This is a very good ratio. Count in your mind 10. So, don't allow the breath to rush out. You have to do it very slowly. So, if you can't do 15 while you are breathing because your breath tends to rush out, do 10, 15, 10. This is also okay. So, equal in, equal out, little bit more holding, 15. You can adjust it a little bit numerically. Don't under any circumstance hold your breath for very long till you are suffocated. It's also bad if you have BP and so on. So don't do that. Smooth breathing, gentle breathing is always the rule in pranayama. Okay? So, now the Ida Pingala. Now what happens? This particular exercise is called Anulom Vilom. Now Anulom Vilom, you are making the prana pass through the Ida and Pingala equally. And therefore giving a chance to Sushumna Nadi to open up. You don't have to directly deal with it. This much is enough. So Anulom Vilom, you sit in a comfortable posture, wear loose clothes, comfortable clothes, keep your spine erect. Sit in Sukhasana, folded legs posture, Padmasana, Siddhasana, whatever asana you can. If you can't, if you have a problem, sit on a chair, it doesn't matter. Then traditionally this is how the fingers are held. The mudra for breathing. So keep your thumb on the right side, Take a deep breath. Fill. Now you are holding in Kumbhak at this point. Watch out. So what did I do? I shut the left nostril and then I opened the right and breathed out through the right. Since I breathed out, exhale through the right nostril. Since the breathing out is through the right nostril, when you breathe in, it should be again from the same nostril. So, close. Left nostril. This alternate breathing is Anulom Vilom, and you should do roughly for about 5 to 10 minutes. It's really good for you. But as I said, when you hold your breath, push it down also a little bit so that it's a shape like a kumbhak, like a kumbha, like a pot. That's called pot. That's why it's called kumbhak. Hold it. And then slowly exhale. So alternate. In. Right. So this is Anulom Vilom. Do this for 10 minutes. First do simple breathing in and out. Then do do the Anulom Vilom for a while. Okay. Now there are other complicated ways of breathing, but we don't have to go much into it, except that the next step perhaps which you would love to do, one is called Bhastrika, which really irrigates the system. And the other is called Kapalabhati. Now, as the name indicates, Bhastrika means a bellows. You wouldn't have seen bellows. Olden days, the blacksmith said bellows. Push, 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 they went. And Kapalabhati, Kapala is the skull, the head. Kapalabhati means cleaning the Kapala. So, it's greatly helpful in sinus and so on. When you do Kapalabhati, everything comes out. If you're doing Kapalabhati, don't let anybody sit in front of you. You might get a blob of phlegm coming out. So, and so there is a very slight difference between Bhastrika and Kapalabhati. Bhastrika is bellows, so up and down. This is Bhastrika. Kapalabhati is mostly out. Inside is allowed to happen naturally. This is Kapalabhati. Both are good. You can practice it for a few minutes. You don't have to, you start slowly. Suppose you are doing Bhastrika. Hold the breath. Exhale. So now what happens when you do Bhastrika like this? When you do fast and when you hold the breath, it's called hyperventilation. Hold the breath and then let it go. Suddenly there is no air in the lungs, everything is down and you feel very quiet and nice. The yogic theory is when there is no air, the oxygen in the system, that doesn't mean you're going to die. Inside the prana starts working. So sometimes you will feel like pinpricks and all. Don't worry about it. But don't extend it for too long. Breathe in immediately. So it's like then normal breath. So when you do that, you will feel very nice, either when you are holding a breath or when you are exhaling. It's because for some time there is a little bit of carbon dioxide in the air and there is no oxygen inside. Everything is empty and quiet. So you will become more sensitive. You will hear the crickets better. Everything will be okay. I think the cricket thought it's raining when we did Bhastrika. There is Bhastrika. It's very good for the physical body. It irrigates the lungs properly. Don't put too much and don't do it so strenuously as that the whole world can hear your voice, your sound. Slowly is enough. In fact, when people say we are doing some kind of kriya which is taught in certain schools of thought, it's basically Vastrika only. But to make the lungs open, you can do first simply and then you can also hold your hands here and do. That's it. Or hold your hands up. So this is Vastrika. Now Kapalabhati. Fairly simple, almost the same. I hope you see the subtle difference between Kapalabhati and Vastrika. Both are good. So do a little Vastrika, do a little. If you have any lung problems, please don't attempt without seeing a proper yogi or a proper doctor. Both. Or at least one. If he says don't do it, don't do it. Okay? So, now, does it do anything psychologically? Yes. Physically it clears the air, it irrigates the lungs, and then psychologically it makes your mind quiet for a while. All pranayams. We'll come to the spiritual aspect in the end, but at the moment. Then, are there any other general pranayams? These are the only pranayams, but the rhythm is adjusted, then they become different. Basically. So we did simple breathing in and out. We did Anulom Vilom. We did Bhastrika and we did Kapalabhati. Now please watch out for all these exercises. If you have running high BP and if you're tested with a doctor, go mildly, don't go too much into it. And as you go on practicing pranayam, increase the number slowly. How much you take in, how much you hold and how much you exhale. General ratio is double holding and triple exhaling. But you can adjust according to your convenience, nothing will happen. Just even if you do equally, nothing is going to happen. Everything will be fine. So that's what it is. So why I am saying this is, don't suddenly aim for the stars, go slowly. If you do daily all these practices together or even some of these practices like Anulom Vilom, you will find a great deal of difference in your health, lightness of body, lightness of sound, generally. And even if you had some infections, you will find that it's easier for you to handle. I'm not saying it will be easier for you to handle the infections because the lungs irrigated with oxygen will fight the infection. And because the nadis are put in proper symmetry, the whole body will function in a better way. This is assured, right? Okay. Now there are other pranayams like what we call the Bhairav pranayam, which is called also the Kundalini pranayam and so on, in which you close the one nostril and breathe in slowly through the other nostril. Breathe in only through the right nostril. Exhalation is only through the left nostril. Do this try to take it in 10 or 12 breaths. Some people go to 16 slowly. Then hold. Exhale through the left. This is also a good pranayam, but I would not advise you to do more than 10 to 12 times this practice. Not more than that. And don't worry about the Kundalini, and while you are doing, don't think of the snake, just leave it like that. If you after the pranayam enjoy a beautiful feeling in your spine, that's all you need to do. Don't even try. We don't believe in our school forcing anything. It has to happen naturally. Forcing has its own danger. People say fix your attention here, take your eyes up, close them and then breathe. After some time, neither the guy who teaches nor the fellow bride know how to control it. Then you get into trouble and you go and you can't find who is going to help. So be careful. Simple practice is always better than something serious. I mean, serious is good, I'm saying simplicity is seriousness, not behaving like and all that. Carefully. Okay. Now, so I have described some pranayams. Yeah. Now, Kriya. Actually, even when we do Kriya Yoga, while we have many other practices to begin with and to end, the central practice of Kriya is a pranayam. No question about that. I'm not going to tell you right now, but it's also a pranayam where it involves a certain kind of pranayam, breathing, Ujjayi breathing, and a certain visualization and so on, but it is also pranayam. So at the moment we are not going into that, but what I want to tell you is you can do deep breathing, exhale. While you do this deep breathing in or out, you can think that the breath is going up from the bottom and coming down. This much you can do quietly. And if you like, you can add this unsaid, the silent sound of hum when you breathe in. When you breathe out, you're not opening your mouth or anything, please, only the nose, please. That is when you do Kriya Pranayam, there are some alterations, but at the moment nothing. Hum. So, keep doing this regularly. This is a good practice. Silences the mind, quietens the mind, fills your body and mind with prana. Okay? Kriya. Now, I will come to the spiritual aspect of this in the end. Yeah, okay, we'll do that now. Even the great Gautama Buddha taught the practice of meditation. Perhaps the only practice which he taught, which you can say as a technique, was what is called Vipassana. And Vipassana basically means awareness. His idea was that if internally if you are aware of your breath, then you will be aware of all the things that are happening in the system, and slowly the awareness will become subtler and subtler until you are aware of this whole thing called nirvana, when the mind quietens down. So they call it Anapana, coming in, going out. So when you do that, basically when you have big courses of Vipassana, you have to be silent and so on, but you don't have to go into, you can do it yourself quietly. Instead of controlling the breath, as I said some time back, and saying hum saw, don't even use hum saw, sit down and watch your breath. You don't have to control it, just watch it. In the natural course, watch your breath and say that till now I have not watched my breath, which is so important to my life, that from the womb till the time I die, when it stops, all life is based on this breath. It is the most important nutrition for my system. I can live without water for some time. I can live without food for some. Without breathing, I cannot remain even for 2 minutes, 1 minute. So it's so important. So you say something which I have neglected for so long, and which is also the link to the inner mind, because life starts with the breath. There is a nice in the Old Testament is God created Adam, then he breathed the breath of life into him from his own mouth. That breath is prana, that without which we are not there. So you should say, from today I am going to look at and observe that which is the most important thing in my life, without which I will be dead, which I have not observed till now. From now I am going to observe it. So you start with sitting down quietly and observing your breath as it goes in and as it goes out, without controlling it in any way. Then you will begin to see that you will begin to observe some little sounds coming inside, clicks, creaks, and when you are really in depth, you might hear the heart, or you might hear the blood coursing through your veins as you go deeper. Don't worry, don't say I want to know of this or I want to see this, but just be passive and watch your breath. Then you'll see you go into a beautiful meditation. Now this is the pranayam for meditation, which is very similar to I wouldn't say it is Vipassana because Vipassana is being taught by different teachers. We don't want to intrude into that. But it's basically this is the principle, Vipassana, awareness. Slowly you become aware of the body, you become aware of everything that goes on. Then you become aware of your emotions, you become aware of yourself. Then you find that the thing which we think is so strong, the ego is actually not there at all in existence. It's created by the mind. And that is gone and everything is gone. So, watching the breath, this is one of the exercises that can connect. Now, on this subject, since we are on this subject, I want to say something else. Your emotional state is reflected in your breath. If you are very agitated, angry, or sexually excited, or something like that, just close your eye for a minute and close your eyes for a minute and watch your breath. You will find that your breathing pattern and rhythm would be very exciting, very strong, going up. I'm very angry, I have to kill this. Watch your breath. You're going. In fact, in movies they make people going to kill. Same thing happens. You might have seen Dogs in October. So, this quick breathing, is reflected. That means your mind state is reflected in your breath. On the other hand, you are listening to beautiful music, or you're sitting in an atmosphere like this, doing nothing in particular. Laziness is a great virtue. And simply sitting and looking at the trees, it's just relax. Watch your breath. Very slow. You listen to classical music. Close your eyes. Watch your breath. Very slowly. So the rishis, when you say rishi, it means spiritual scientists. Because Vatsyayana is also called a rishi, who wrote the Kama Sutra. The scientists who are exploring the mind, the emotions and so on. So, when the rishis found that emotions can change the pattern of breathing, they said, could it be that we could change the rhythm and pattern of breathing and change the emotions? Which means, can we slow down the breath and make the mind quiet? Can we increase the breath, rhythm, pattern and make you work rajasic and so on. So out of this was founded the science of pranayama. So there are innumerable pranayams. You will find if you go into, we can't go into 20 minutes, but if you go into the Yoga Pradipika, you will see many number of pranayams. One or two as an example I can tell you. If it's very hot, if you want to cool your body, there is a pranayam called Sitali. Take your tongue this way. Suck the cool air in and then you close your mouth and exhale. You'll actually feel the coolness. So there are many, we can't discuss all pranayams. We have discussed the general ones which you can start with, then go into the details of the pranayam described in the Yoga Pradipika and so on, because Patanjali does not describe any pranayam in detail. Now, but don't read and practice, go to a teacher and practice. Who knows? Okay, this is what I have read, what do you suggest? Then you change. He may alter it for you and so on, because these are all exact sciences. So that is the other side of pranayam, the spiritual element involved in it. So Kriya also is a pranayam. There is a pranayam in that. And there may be different Kriyas which have different rhythms depending on what they are targeting. Now, there is also the other biological aspect, that the creatures which have the longest breaths live for longer time. Only they may die in an accident, that's a different story. The whale breathes once in 15 days or something, I don't know the exact time. The whale is a mammal, it's not a fish. It looks like a fish. It takes a deep breath from the air and goes inside. And then you can see when it breathes out, but there will be a sprout in the water coming out. Then again it will go in, and 15 days or whatever, then it will breathe out. And they live the longest living mammals on earth. Elephants' breathing rhythm is very slow, much slower than ours. We have a certain pattern. So accordingly, our lifespan is decided. Unless you get, like I said, cancer, or if you have an accident, that's a different matter. Generally, if you are in moderate health. The mosquito breathes very fast. It lives only for 2 days, maybe 3 days. Little worms, they live for a short time because they breathe very fast. So there is also this, that if your breath can be kept quiet and longer, your longevity could also increase. Because life, the length of life or your longevity is measured in terms of the number of breaths per minute. This is another important thing in pranayama. So you have to keep this also in mind and begin the practice of your pranayama daily. Well, we are going to start the Bharat Yoga Vidya Kendra. So anybody wants to learn your asana, pranayama and all, they can also register here. But they can also go to other institutions and learn your yoga, pranayama. Your body is healthy, your mind is healthy. Your mind is healthy, you are getting ready for ascension to spiritual health, and then you are beyond. So this is the reason why yoga has been taught. Now, in the end, I want to mention something which is a little funny, but which is like magic, but it's worth mentioning. The yogi who practices pranayama regularly soon gets into develops the capacity to remain without breathing for please don't attempt this forcefully. This is a sure recipe for lung hemorrhage. A yogi, when he sees that the pranic energies can be manipulated, he can for long hours stay without breathing. There is a story that Lahari Mahashaya, Shyamacharan Lahari, one of his close friends, his son became a doctor. So Mahashaya said, anyway you are going to join Banaras in the hospital, go and meet my friend Lahari, take his blessings, he is a saint. So he said, okay. So he went, and Lahari Mahashaya was sitting in his parlor as usual. Long hours he used to sit there. So he said, he introduced himself, oh, you're so and so son, okay. He said, very good. So what's happened? Well, I'm going to join the hospital, I've become a doctor. Okay, so have you got, yeah, I've got all my stethoscope and everything. He said, could you do me a favor? So according to you, what is the definition of death? He said, medically death means breath stops for a long time, pulse stops. After a while, the heat in the solar plexus is gone, then we proclaim a person dead. Okay, you got your stet, yeah, put it on, he said. Now I'm going to sit for a while, please check me out. Then he took a deep breath and sat there in Padmasana. After a minute or so, this boy started checking. First, no heartbeat, no breathing, no pulse. He waited for some time, no heat in the solar plexus. He started shouting. Because all the religion, why are you shouting? He said, this man just sat down and died. He said, he dies many times a day. Why are you shouting? He'll come back now. So, yogis have mastered this technique, but don't try it artificially. Say, I'm like Lahari Mahashaya. I'm not going to breathe. There will be lung hemorrhage, the blood will come out of the mouth and you'll be dead. That's all. No coming back like Lahari Mahashaya. So, and I just mentioned this to show that if you know how to master the art of breathing, you can remain for a length of time without actually breathing. I don't know how long Lahari Mahashaya could have remained, I don't know, but this happened for a short while. And there is something called Khechari Mudra, which the yogis through long practice develop this, where the tongue is turned and pressed into the soft palate and the breath passage of the epiglottis is shut. So there are cases of yogis who were buried under the earth for 3 days, 4 days, and then they dig out and they're still alive. They have to be woken up and so on. But these are all exercises, stunts. There is nothing much in this. I know of the case of such a man who used to sit once in a while under the earth in a grave for a sitting position for 3 days, 4 days and all. And finally he died after a few days. So that it doesn't have any spiritual content. I'm just saying that pranayam is an ancient, vast science which has many, many, many borders. Its borders are big. There are many techniques. What we need is what we discussed. That's all we need for the moment. For good health, physical, good health, mental, and moving towards the spiritual. This is more than enough for pranayam for us. Thank you very much. So please, from after watching this, breathe. Don't stop breathing. Thank you.